Well, greetings, race fans. It's a little later than our pre-planned schedule for this week, but better late than never as the USA trucks take to Pikes Peak here tonight for 133 miles around this 1 mile and change length racetrack. And none other than our two winners starting on the front row here tonight. You've got Trevor set on the pole here for Trevor Ventures. Walker and Vaden 1-2. Behind them you've got the 88 of John Hagan and the 85 of Brian DeBlank. The 15 of Noah Hobson and last year's winner here, Matthew Fastnaught, starting up in the top 10. Then you got Adam Starr and Kyler Sustre, Alex Sanvital and Chris Harvey, the 95 of Anheuser-Wagner and the 03 of Joe Hill, Spinham Walker and Adam Cruz, Krista Cower and Dave Steele Jr., Kat Durham and Zach Magoon, Braden Hunt and Lynn Farrell, Jonah Burridge and Roach, newcomer into the series, Rand I'm going to butcher that name. Katiz? I don't know if it's Kajta or Kajtaz, but Kataz. We'll just go with Kataz. Rand Kataz and the 31 there of Rich Roy, Jacob Schengle and Gavin Legend, Alan Chavot and Luis Rodriguez, Paul Ladino and Jameson Thole, Craig Popkris and Matthew Hubert, Jack Davis and Lucas Holmes, Chase Kovacic and Monty Shangle, Chasey Plays and Daniel Paulus. So a couple newcomers, as you can see through our lineup here on the West Coast. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare in their series debut here tonight. But they're going to have their work cut out for them, as both Trevors on the front row here already both with a win on the season early on here. Boss man Trevor Walker in that 21 truck, currently your points leader, has been off to a dominant start here. Pace truck's off and the green flag waving. We're off and racing here at Pikes Peak. John Hagan alongside that 20 going into turn 1 here. Vaden having to fight pretty vigilantly on the outside there. Good push from Brian DeBlank's going to allow that 20 truck to clear the 88. And 3 wide for third place as Noah Hobson pushes the envelope there. Kind of a bold move early in the race. You don't usually see that on lap 2. Noah Hobson wants to get to the front as quickly as possible and not let these guys chill in front of him. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Trevor Walker and Trevor Vaden. Battle for third rages on here as DeBlank on the outside of the 15. Last year's winner just kind of hovering in the background there with Fastnaught running 6th. Chris Harvey up into the top 10 here. Isn't that crazy how we go? There's so many connections. You got the Kyle and Kyle show, you got the Ryan and Ryan show and some things, but here we've got the Trevor and Trevor show. 3 wide for position there. That's quite a move on Harvey. pushing Fastnaught and potentially Kyler Sestre back a spot. DeBlank has settled into third here. Noah Hobson in fourth. These two kind of just trying to figure out their next mode of attack before executing here. I don't see a whole lot changing at the front here. Let's compare lap times real quick. Trevor Walker just turned a 27.9. Paired up to his teammate at 28.0. So Trevor Walker clearly turning the faster laps here from the lead. That clean air in front is a huge factor in that. But like we saw last year, lap traffic's going to become very, very much a problem for these leaders. Not quite a problem for the next probably 50 laps, I'd imagine. Can't even see too far out there. Yeah, it's about on the entry at turn 2 as he's exiting turn 1. Whole lot of battling throughout the field here. Especially this battle right here with Chris Harvey, Kyler Sestre, Matthew Fastnaught, and Joe Hill. In our pre-race report today, Joe Hill was one of those guys that we highlighted as a dark horse here tonight. Sitting in the top 10, that rookie has got something figured out to keep competitive with the veterans of the series. Right now he's bumping elbows with 3 different drivers that have won in the series. The likes of Chris Harvey, Kyler Sestre, and Matthew Fastnaught. So Joe Hill trying to cement himself in this series as a contender. And the front of the field's getting a little bit more bunched up, as you can see from the drone cam aimed here at John Hagan. Trevor, but now DeBlank and Hobson trying to close that gap just a little bit. Things are getting a little bit more interesting for the lead. With the exception of Noah Hobson, the top 3 as they run were, in our pre-race report, 3 of the top 5 that we predicted to have a good race here today. Trevor is kind of a no-brainer, being our first 2 winners of the season. But Brian DeBlank has kind of figured out his stride here in the trucks. And I think the switching between manufacturers has allowed him to find a little bit extra boosts in speed and strength. Last year he was one of the higher performing Chevys. This year switching over to Volkswagen might have been a mistake. You never know, because so many times when you change something that's working, it's 3 steps backwards. But proven to be quite the opposite of that, actually, as he's putting together some good runs for Volkswagen in their maiden voyage here in the USA Trucks. Not very many Volkswagen trucks out there. I think there's about a grand total of 5 between the East and the West, paired up to about an 80 truck field between our 2 series. So that's, crunch some numbers, 80. That's like 7% of the field roughly, so pretty crazy. Volkswagen could be contenders, and it might be a sweet landing spot for some of these other teams if it's enticing enough to have a Volkswagen power plant under these trucks. So could be the start of a Volkswagen revolution here in the USA trucks. European takeover, maybe, who knows? Haven't been able to keep up with the universal ratings between our manufacturers. Obviously, we've got the Americar, Japcar, and Eurocar competition. That might be more so kind of put together towards the end of the season, figuring out who's give us maybe another talking point once we go into the chase or something. As it's been harder to keep up with all these other ideas and stuff with the series. So hopefully I can figure out a way to solidify some of the standings there so that we have something going forward. Battle tightening up still here at the front. Noah Hobson right up on the back bumper of Brian DeBlank. It looks like our second group has kind of slotted their way backwards. Hagen was in between the lead group and that group behind him, but now he's getting swallowed up by the secondary group. So 4-truck breakaway at the lead field here. And a lot like last year, things are staying green early on in the run here. We saw a lot of green flag laps run here last year, and it lends itself to kind of a chaotic finish for these trucks once they catch up to the lap traffic. Still quite a ways off. I was predicting about roughly lap 60 that we'd see these leaders catch up. Might be a little bit closer than that. We might see it roughly around lap 50 by the time he catches that 99 truck. The rest of them at the back are kind of separated, but then you have a big group here from 35th up. It's interesting. We've got the 77 truck 4 laps down. Must be having some troubles. Wonder if we can see in the... Ooh, a fuel leak for the 77 has forced them 4 laps down here today. Going through the field. The 71 there, that's newcomer in the series. Kovacic. I was going to verify that I'm pronouncing that right. Yes, correct. I did pronounce it. Kovacic. And only his first start here in the USA Trucks, driving the Hergeson Enterprise Racing Honda, number 71 Castrol entry. Obviously, your debut, you're going to be out there learning the ropes and running 35th right now. I think as long as he stays out of trouble, he can consider this any which way he wants, a victory or not. A lot of room to grow here in the USA Trucks. That 77 truck still on pit road. I don't know if they're going to get it fixed. Alan Chavot in the 97, Roach in the 6, Rich Roy, Gavin Legend. Also, there's the other newcomer, Rand Kataz. Ooh, and that's a rough go for Dave Steele right there. I figured he'd be up in the top 10 fighting for a win here today. Still very early in the race. There's a lot that could still happen here, but running 19th here on lap 25 with 100 laps to go. Perhaps he might try to figure out a way to flip the strategies around to get himself some track position here. Adam Cruz in the 05. You got Kat Durham in the 22. Up to 13th here. And Zach Magoon knocking on the door of top 10 position here. Fighting with the 7 of Spinham Walker. Alex Sanvital. John Hagen. Joe Hill running 7th. Chris Harvey in 6th. And the 24 of Kyler Sestre running in 5th. And here we go. They are starting to catch that 99 truck. It's going to be a lot sooner than I anticipated. We'll have to see how Trevor Walker fares getting up and around the lap traffic of the 99. The fun part here is if anyone were to make a mistake, there's 3 trucks, at least 4 trucks that could steal it here, steal the lead away. If they get held up here, you never know. They might start getting the 24 of Sustre up here to the front. Chris Harvey could still work his way up into the front. It looks like they're starting to try and fight and close the gap down. Noah Hobson had a 28.4 last lap. Even Chris Harvey had a 28.4, so very possible with lap traffic on the horizon here. '99 doesn't hold up Trevor very much. Might hold up the other Trevor, though. This is a teammate to that 77 truck that's on pit road. Kind of makes you wonder if they might have something a little bit off in their team trucks here today. That 99 looks like it's having a rough one here. And the 99 has now been cleared by our top 4 runners. No changes for positions, so looks like Trevor Walker starting to stretch that gap out a little bit. '99 of Daniel Paulus actually starting to man, I didn't think at a mile-long track like this that drafting would be such a huge deal, but it looks like that 99. Let's see what his lap time this time is, because I think he's picking up just a hair of the draft. His last lap before that was a 29.3. That was a 29.1. It's not really as big a deal as I thought it was, but it just looked kind of crazy when he settled in behind. It looked like he was running a lot faster. We'll be able to confirm or deny that here. Wow, 28.9. So yeah, there might be a little bit of a draft that can be picked up here. And there we have more lap traffic, even closer. And it just beautiful, the scenery here at Colorado. You can see all the greenery in the background. It's actually a really pretty track through and through. I'm amazed that oh, we do that board in the infield said caution, so I can't trust that because it is not under caution. We still have green lights on the track. That's weird. I just now caught that. Wouldn't have caught it on the regular TVs, but with the drone cam, you can actually see that truck right here. You'll see it on your left. It says caution. It's like it is not under caution right now. Nice that we got the ARCA schedule all put together. Looking like at the end of March we'll have some ARCA racing to bring to everyone. It's going to be a little bit different, something that we haven't actually done in any of our series yet, with the length of, or the amount of short tracks on the schedule. We're going to have a lot of heat races. So it's going to be kind of like your local grassroots racing for the most part, where you'll have some really rapidly quick heat races, and then the main event be more so in the lines of like 100, 150 to 200 laps, depending on the track and depending on the size. But it's going to be a star-studded schedule. We've got a lot of heavy-hitting tracks to look forward to for the ARCA schedule. I'm excited for it, especially since the first race of the season will be at Daytona, USA, the video game, one of the tracks that they had, 3.7 Speedway. So that's going to be kind of neat to start the season somewhere different. After that, you actually go to a super speedway at Talladega. And then we'll come here at Pikes Peak for race number 3, April 10th. And then we're really spicing it up, going to Virginia short track, Langley Speedway, one that our own Atlee Weiss calls home, his home track, one of the tracks that he's had very much a lot of success at. And so he'll have an opportunity to try and convert that, well, not obviously in the ARCA series, but with his team, he could have some good runs from his team cars in the ARCA series. Killcare Speedway, which is Jack Ross's home track. North Wilkesboro. Rockford Speedway, which is actually Cat Durham's home track. So it's going to be really neat having all these home tracks for the people on our server as part of the ARCA series. And we're under caution for the first time here tonight. Made it to lap 42. And it looks like we're going to have takers down pit road. So we're going to have to figure out what the caution was actually for. And it's very, oh, it looks like we did have a wrecker. Oh, that's a brutal one. John Hagan, who was running decently here today, he got turned by San Vital. 93 of San Vital just drives right into Hagan. And that might be some damage to that truck, but looked like the rear end might have got the worst of it. The way the game clipped, it looked like it was a harder hit on that nose, but I don't think there's near as much damage on the nose as it led me to believe. Rejoins the track after pitting there. It looks like he's going to lose probably 10 to 20 spots on track. And this is going to give us all an opportunity to reset and re-rack them for a potential change of positions at the front of the field. Top two still remain your top two. Third and fourth, fifth and sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th, pretty much unchanged except for the absence now of John Hagen in the top 10. That puts Alex Sanvital up to 10th. Zach Magoon running in 9th. Hagen was running 8th, so those two moved up due in part to that. Impressive run, Joe Hill, the rookie, still keeping it up front at the field here, putting in a good run. Lights are still on the pace truck. They should turn off this next time by. And so, all the laps have been led by Trevor Walker to this point. 46 laps in now. It's been a Team Trevor Ventures 1-2 punch for this whole race. This caution kind of throws a little bit of a curveball for these guys. If we get even one more caution, I don't know if we're going to see the lap traffic become near as much of a factor at the end of this one, as it's probably going to be set them and run to the finish if we even get one more caution. We'll see. But this is still early enough caution that we could still have a long green flag run here, and lap traffic could still play a huge factor in the overall turnout of this. Green flag waving on the restart here. We're back and rolling. And this is the opportunity for these guys to make hay. If they want to try and make up some positions, do it while the tires are still cold. Try to execute where others might be making mistakes. DeBlank is under attack by Kyler Sustre. Sustre makes it 3 wide. Side by side, those two, I think Trevor Vaden actually led the lap that time. Sure enough, Walker credited with second, so Trevor Vaden putting the boss man down to second for a split second. Still fighting on the outside. We're seeing some competitive lines on this track where it's competitive on the high side or the low side. Trevor Vaden is going to lead his second lap here over the boss man, keeping him behind him. This has opened the door for Noah Hobson to make it 3 wide for the lead. Hobson putting in a good run here. That bottom line you would imagine would prevail over the top line. Vaden finally secures the position here, and now Trevor Walker with a little bit of trouble brewing on track. Most position changes we've seen here on this restart. 21 is dropped from the lead. Kyler Sustre up to 4th. Spinham Walker into the top 5. Working for it. The 85 has gotten shifted way back. The 85 of DeBlank drops from about 4th all the way back to 10th, it looks like. We'll have to see if Hagen's making continued trips down pit roads. So that truck is not right after the contact to the outer wall. Trevor Vaden has got a good lead here on the boss man in second. Seems that the caution is allowed for a turn of fortunes here, as what the first 45 laps were dominated by Trevor Walker. Vaden wants to try and take the show for the next 45 laps here. Chris Harvey doing a very good job. He's fighting for 5th place here. Gets to the inside and might prevail in making the pass on Spin'em Walker. This could be the first time that Chris Harvey has cracked the top 5 tonight. At the line, he was 5th, and looks like he's going to finish the job here. That 12 truck now in the top 5 puts both of LFG Motorsports trucks up into the top 5. Yeah, the Tim and Tom courting show is slowly beginning to turn into the Trevor and Jordan Walker show. You can't avoid the brother dominance, it seems like. It's kind of like Kurt and Kyle Busch. There's always in pairs, it seems that the brothers dominate when it comes to motorsports. Don't think there's been that case with F1. Formula One doesn't seem to have there's not much of a nepotism there. There's more of a elitism there, but until that day happens, I think the rest of motorsports, there's often brother duos that, I mean, look at Supercross. You got Hunter and Jet Lawrence. NASCAR, obviously, you've had many brother duos. Michael and Darrell Waltrip. Kyle and Kurt Busch. There's probably more I just can't think of off the top of my head. Dude, if Chadwick had a brother, that would be a deadly combo. You could almost consider you and What Army to be the adopted brother, or, you know, pseudo brother of Chadwick. And those two make a pretty deadly combo, honestly. If Chadwick had a brother, he'd be sponsored by a marshmallow company, I think. That way he could make s'mores. The one brother is sponsored by chocolate, and the other brother is sponsored by marshmallow. Stay Puffed Marshmallow. That would be perfect, actually. Make a Stay Puffed Marshmallow paint scheme for it. Have the big marshmallow guy on the trunk of the truck. You make a Ghostbusters reference on it or something too. So they're catching up to John Hagan here. So I think Hagan's finally got his truck fixed, but he's gone. Oh, he has not gone a lap. He has not gone a lap down yet. So he's still right on the tail end of the lead lap. We haven't quite hit halfway yet. Slowly closing in on halfway of this one. Lap 62 will be halfway. We're on lap 59, so just 3 more laps and we'll be halfway through this race. Hagan at this point desperately hoping for a caution to get back towards the tail end of the lead lap here. Really has kind of shifted the whole outcome of this race. The guys that we thought were in a good top 5 position kind of got bumped out of the top 5 positions here. Kyler Sustre is one of the beneficiaries of that, as well as Chris Harvey. Brian DeBlank hasn't fallen too far out. He's still right there in the picture. But for the most part, our top three have remained pretty steady here, as it's been the Trevor Duo, and Noah Hobson has slowly closed that gap towards the leaders. It's impressive to see the gap between all four of these trucks pretty steady. Not one or the other has an advantage or disadvantage. They might get a little bit, lose a little bit, but they're so close in speeds. They're almost all identical out there on track. I guess it's a good time to mention too that the fastest lap does belong to Noah Hobson, so fastest lap doesn't always convert over to a race win, but it shows you that that they're cooking just a little bit hotter than the rest of the field. Hagan now a lap down as Trevor Vaden gets in there alongside of him. And I do have a special paint scheme put together by Trevor Walker. Trevor Walker actually put one together for Trevor Vaden to pay homage to his dad, Trevor Vaden's dad, and with a Coca-Cola scheme. I haven't gotten it put into the game yet, but we should have it up in time for the next race in 2 weeks for the USA Trucks Western Division. As soon as I get back around to it, I'll have it rendered and put up on the server. And I do plan on trying to put together something of the same sort for the ARCA truck or the ARCA car as well. Some alliances have kind of shifted with the ARCA draft that we had. The initial ARCA draft, we were left with very few drivers that actually were ARCA eligible. Back in the end of last year, the ARCA draft, we had a lot of drivers that have worked their way up the ladder into Bridge to Cup, and even some of them that are now Cup regulars. So it didn't leave us with much wiggle room, and a lot of drivers kind of got put into seats that you wouldn't have expected. Obviously the ARCA series is going to be a spec series with they're all in a Pontiac body. The engines are all going to be identical, and it really comes down to drivability, driver stats in the racing of the ARCA series. But for example, you've got a lot of newcomers. To be honest, there's a lot of new faces and new places. New drivers that have never run any races in our Sigma series. So ARCA will be the grand unveil for a lot of new drivers. But for example, Trevor Vaden sticks out as one of them, who's going to be racing for LFG Motorsports ARCA. And he's a very, very true to Trevor Ventures. So he's been in the Toyota camp for the last at least year, maybe year and a half. If LFG has success, that could be a volatile point of concern for one camp or the other. Never know, you might see Trevor Vaden land a job with LFG in a Honda someday. Centennial making, or rather Alan Chavot is going to be racing for North Central Texas Motorsports, and that might be an interesting one, as the 85 of Brian DeBlank has pretty much been a lone wolf throughout the years, the year that he's been running, trying to build that camp up and get some more drivers. Todd Rat Racing could be, maybe, you never know, there could be some differences in between who gets what driver and where they want to go. Oh, and the one that too, Jakov Rostovich going to be racing for Taden Berggren. Obviously, Jack Ross is the best friend of Jakov, and to land a ride with anyone but Jack Ross seems kind of crazy, but it happened. So yeah, there's a few kind of surprise drivers that have landed in different spots. It's going to be fun to watch, fun to see who comes out as the inaugural Sigma ARCA champion at the end of the year. And I'm sure a lot of it'll all depend on how these drivers actually fare in their maiden season with the ARCA series. Truly a lot goes into it, and the feeder series are going to be a huge determining factor for these drivers and where they might land in the future. So heck, they might, for example, Trevor Vaden, who's with Trevor Ventures and LFG Motorsports, he might run really well as an LFG Motorsports driver, get a lot of wins here as a Trevor Ventures Toyota truck, and someone else might see that they want to lure him away, and they might be willing to pay him a little bit better to go race in a Ford or something. You never know. And perhaps Vaden, I would assume he's gotten, there's one manufacturer he favors the most. I'm not for certain that that's Toyota or Honda. It could be Chevy or Ford. You never know. We don't know a whole lot about all these drivers, but I'm sure things like that will start to surface too, as to where he feels more comfortable driving for his future in the sport. Like Harvey has not been able to close the gap to the leaders here, struggling a little bit with that lap traffic of John Hagan, Spinham Walker, Alex Sanvital, and the 85 of Brian DeBlank right behind him. Matthew Fastnaught as well, sitting in the top 10. But now lap traffic is really pretty dense here in front of the leaders. There we go. Good push from the two up front. 99 of Daniel Paulus under attack here. 15 of Hobson going to be able to close the door as well. Keeps it from messing up the running order for now. But this is where the racing starts to kick in. We had a race play out like this last year where the lap traffic ended up holding up the leader, and Matthew Fastnaught stole that win away from Tom Cording. Look at that. Look at the gap closing here. Noah Hobson with a great run. 2 by 2. Vaden goes high. Walker goes low and makes the mistake of doing so as Jamison Thole holds up both Walker and Hobson here. Vaden's going to have to make the same decisions here in a little while with the other trucks in front. It's an ever-evolving guessing game with this lap traffic. There we go. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty as there's only about 40 laps to go here today. There shouldn't be any reason that they need to pit. That first caution allowed them to fill up and make it all the way to the finish here today. So unless we have a caution, I think we're looking at the contenders for the win here. But still, don't underestimate this lap traffic. If these guys get slowed up way too much, the 12 of Chris Harvey still right there in the picture. He's actually starting to close that gap up a little bit. So Harvey's big gift here will be the lap traffic if he can keep closing the gap. It's actually very fascinating that we've seen such strong performances from both Trevor Ventures and LFG Motorsports. TV is running 1-2 and LFG running 3 and 5. So great run for the two teams that I think are going to be one of the teams that win the championship this year. Lap traffic really holding these guys up here. Vaden making quick work of the lap traffic though. Oh, here we go. Kyler Sestre going to take the position away from Noah Hobson. Sestre with a hell of a run coming on the inside. Gets by the 15 truck. Kovacic gone a lap down here in his first ever race, but I think can hold his head up high knowing that he's out there completing laps rather than getting hauled off on the tow truck. Let's see, how is Chavot doing? We might see him on the radar here as they're coming up on lap traffic. Yeah, he's not doing too bad, evidently. He's in the top 25, running 22nd. Under attack here is Rich Roy for position. So putting in a competitive run in the 97 truck. There you go, making a move in alongside the 31. We'll have to check back in on his progress towards the end of the race as our leaders making moves through the lap traffic here. Wow, another change for position as Kyler Sestre now up to second. Trevor Walker struggling here a little bit. Noah Hobson in alongside him. Chris Harvey struggling a little bit with the lap traffic. Might be able to make a move here on Kovacic. They both go low, and unfortunately Kovacic holding the 12 up a little bit. San Vital in the 93 for 6th position there. Oh, here we go. He's trying the line where the 71 is not, and he's going to make it work. Kinda. That's a tough line to make work, especially with lap traffic there. Slower lap traffic. 3 wide. Wow. San Vital up to 5th for now. Harvey fighting back though on the outside. Just tough racing all throughout the track. There we go. Wow, it's a brutal line that these guys run around the track. You can see it's almost a crash course line that they come down into each other. Dang, Trevor Vaden really coming in clutch here, making his way through lap traffic with super ease. And he's going to have a clear opening here after he gets by the 38 of Monty Shangle. Still want to check in and see some of our other contenders, how they're doing. Adam Cruz with an 18th place run right now. Dave Steele Jr. still struggling, running in 17th. Hasn't been able to bound back. Not a terrible finish, but not a great finish either, especially where he's sitting in the point standings. Zach Magoon, kind of a quiet top 15 finish for him on the horizon. Joe Hill still kind of flirting with the top 10 here. Anheuser Walkner currently sitting in 10th. Matthew Fastnaught in 9th. Brian DeBlank under attack here. Chasey Plays is a lap down. Chris Harvey in 6th. San Vital in 5th. And here we have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as Vaden has checked out on the lead group here. They're going to need to hope that they can start closing the gap to Vaden as we're down to 30 laps to go. Hobson makes it 3 wide with, wow, Trevor Walker and the 64 truck there. Impressive that we didn't see a collision between the 3 of them. Oh, Harvey got back by San Vital. As you can see further out in the camera shot, Trevor Vaden making a spot, making a pass on another lap truck there, the 94 of Paul Ladino. And then the 01 of Kataz. Oh, wow, okay, Trevor makes the move. Kyler Sestre drops from 2nd to 4th there. Kataz holding his own here, right in front of Vaden. Trevor Walker, Kyler Sestre, and now Noah Hobson struggling to get around the 38 truck. Man, right there, he can almost get alongside the 38, but the 38 closes the door before he can. Try again here, the 15 gets the job done. But the damage has already been done there as he's lost. Oh, and now we've got yet again another caution here. And the timing on these cautions, it's crazy. It's almost perfect where we have it set up here, because now we're going to have about a 20-lap shootout. And it's anyone's guess as to how this might play out. Now the big question is, who was the caution for? Last time around it was John Hagen, who was in the top 10 that got wrecked, put into the wall, and is still struggling from the damage sustained during that last caution that we had. Trevor Vaden leads, and there's where we get the caution. Oh, yep, another truck lost control. Is it the 46 of Craig Popgris, who'd already gone a lap down? He got clipped by Chris Harvey. Maybe just a wrong place at the wrong time there for Craig Popgris being a lap truck. I think Popgris probably should have let off and let the position go. There's no reason he should have been holding up a race contender, a driver that's contending for the win here today. So I think blame lies predominantly on the 46 truck there for that one. Trying to decide if we need green-white checkers enabled or not. I don't know if I want to. Let's go ahead and enable it just to be in case we need it. You never know. Wow, so pit takers, pit stops kind of shake this up a little bit. So we'll figure out exactly how this plays out, but the 20 comes in for his pit stop. Should be able to see Sestre. Sestre stay out? No? Man, Sestre must have stayed out because I don't see. Wow. Okay, that's a bold move. The 24 of Kyler Sestre stays out. As well as the 93 of San Vital. The 22 of Cat Durham. And that puts Trevor Vaden back to 4th. San Vital 2nd, Cat Durham 3rd, Trevor Vaden 4th, Trevor Walker 5th, Noah Hobson 6th, Chris Harvey 7th, Spinham Walker 8th, Matthew Fastnaught 9th, and Zach Magoon 10th. So this really does kind of change the whole scenario here at the front of the field. You're going to see how hard it's going to be for these guys with no tires, trying to fend off drivers that have taken tires. Gas obviously is not going to be a factor here, but it's about to get as crazy as it can get here in the USA Trucks with just around 20 laps to go. Green flag waving. We're going to get back right to racing here, and it's a 20-lap shootout for the win. Sustre with the lead, and Noah Hobson really making a big move through the field here as he's now up to third. He was behind both the Trevors and now sitting there on the second line inside. That's huge for him. If he's able to close the door on both Trevors. Trevor Walker, though, not making it easy for him. 3 wide with Hobson in the middle. Trevor Vaden on the high side makes a bold dash, getting by both the trucks on old tires here. Sestre and San Vital finally lose the lead there. And holy cow, Vaden looks like he's shot out of a cannon. That 20 truck gets by, and the others are sitting ducks at the moment. Wow, Trevor Walker. Matthew Fastnaught creeps his way up to the front of the field here. Maybe hiding a little bit of what he's got under the hood here today. We have not seen him this high in the running order until now. $15 laps to go. Wow, Krista Cower gets into the top 5. Brian DeBlank here in the top 5. Sadly for Kyler Sustre, I don't think that was the right move to make. Is staying out on old tires is costed him dearly here. Even worse for Alex Sanvital, who's already dropped 5 spots in 1 lap. Joe Hill still within position to get into the top 10. Big turnaround for Brian DeBlank, especially huge turnaround for Matthew Fastnaught. But unfortunately, the rest of the field's going to have to hope for a caution here. The Trevors out front leading the way. So a couple weeks ago, we got treated to an exciting finish between these two, where Trevor Walker was leading at Fontana in the closing laps, but Trevor Vaden stole the show. Looks like the script is slightly flipped in this scenario, where potentially Trevor Walker could steal the show from Trevor Vaden. It really looks like Walker's got the speed right here to try and steal the win from Vaden. He's caught up to the 20 and he's closing the window. Vaden's got to try to hold on for 8 more laps here. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of laps, but for Vaden it might seem like an eternity. Whereas Boss has the faster truck on this run, it's going to be a tough battle all the way to the finish here. These two really are driving away from the rest of the field. You can see the distance growing as these two are left to duke it out. The two drivers that have won both races so far, someone's going to get their second win here tonight, short of something extravagant happening in the closing laps. We do have green-white checkers enabled in case there is a caution before the white flag waves. But even if we had a caution in green-white checkers, I don't know if anyone's got anything for the Trevors. 1-2 as they run, they have led almost every lap here today. One or the other has been at the front leading the whole time. It's kind of fun though to see some of the other drivers try to pull off pit strategy, tire strategies to try and flip the turn, try to change the outcome of the race. But speed prevails here today as our two fastest trucks, other than Noah Hobson, who was #1 fastest, these two were 3rd and 4th fastest. Trevor Walker's right there. It's got to be tough for him as a team owner. He's probably like, well, do I push it and risk wrecking both of us out, or do I try to just watch as my team gets another win here today? So it's kind of a catch-20, but I imagine both these drivers, racers through and through. Walker doesn't want to just sit idly behind his teammate and finish second here today. Lap traffic's not really going to be key here in the closing 4 laps. Trevor Walker's just got to set up the move here. Seems like he's having trouble finding the gap, finding the window. As we're down to 3 laps to go now. Walker keeping it close, keeping it tight. 20 versus 21. Ooh, this might be the opportunity. As you see, he really had a good run through that turn. It's going to be so close. These two trucks running almost identically. 28.69 to a 28.67. Trevor Walker running the faster laps right now. Oh, and there's still... You could not ask for a closer finish than what we're likely to have. Lap truck goes down pit road, a class move from the 26. Didn't want to mess with the outcome of this race, he just pulls it down pit road. Catch 20, catch 21. Still turning the faster laps than the guy in the lead. But I don't think he's going to find the window of opportunity. As the white flag's waving, next lap ends the race. Does Trevor Walker have something? Or is Trevor Vaden going to make it 2 for 2 in back-to-back races? 28.7, 28.7. It's quite clear that these trucks are prepped in the same garage. Putting on a hell of a clinic here in the USA Trucks West. Trevor Vaden gonna get his second career win in back-to-back races here in the USA Trucks West. And these two are gonna cement their standing in the points, probably up amongst the top two. Coming home third is Matthew Fastnaught. Fourth, Noah Hobson. Fifth, Chris Harvey. LFG Motorsports rounds out that top five as DeBlank coming home sixth, Krista Cower seventh. Eighth place was the 89 of Gavin Legend. The ninth was Spinham Walker. Zach Magoon with a top 10. Joe Hill with an 11th. Dave Steele Jr. with 12th. Anheuser Wagner 13th. Alan Chavot comes home for a top 20, not bad. In his debut, Kovacic coming home 27. But that there is a wrap as the race is complete here. Trevor Vaden, back-to-back wins here in the USA Trucks West. Three of 15 races, and interesting kind of flip-flop here. Used to be the, well, and it's still early enough that there's no good way to tell, but last year East Coast was the snoozer dominant series where a couple drivers dominated the East and the West was the wild one. I think it's going to flip-flop around to where the East is the wild one this year and the West is the predictable one, since we've already seen the same two drivers just light up the show here on the West Coast. And that is a wrap for tonight's event. Congratulations to Trevor Vaden on putting together what, it's going to be interesting to see if he can maintain this. But that's pretty solid start to the season for the Vaden number 20 truck there. 2 wins and 2 completely different styles of races that we've seen. Fontana, obviously, high speeds. This was a little bit more like short track, 1 mile, kind of a strategy race for him. Thanks guys. Glad we got the race in with a pretty quick one there. And we'll try to get the next stream rolling tomorrow night and on, so we'll get back into the swing of things here. So thanks for everyone tuning in. Glad you could check it out. Congratulations to Trevor Vaden and Trevor Ventures, as well as all the other drivers out there with good race here today. So hope you all have a good night.